All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about something a little different. Not just another villain, but a cosmic threat that's more of a concept than a character. We're talking about the Iron Queen. And trust me, this is no simple origin story. We're going to dissect the anatomy of a true nightmare, one forged in a brutal, deliberate alchemy. Let's get into it. This quote, it just hits you, right? She does not just cast spells, she is the curse. That really says it all. We're not talking about someone who uses dark magic. No, she is the dark magic, a living, breathing curse woven right into the fabric of reality itself. So the big question is, how on earth do you even create something like that? Okay, so to really wrap our heads around her, we need to understand this key idea, a singularity of magic. Now, forget everything you know about team-ups or alliances. This is something else entirely. It's a violent, alchemical fusion. Picture this. You take powerful, completely separate beings, you literally shatter them, break them down to their core essence, and then you forge those broken pieces into one single consciousness. And the result? Something far, far more dangerous than the sum of its parts could ever be. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to take her apart piece by piece. Let's look at the legendary figures who were literally sacrificed to create this monster. Which, of course, leads us to the big question, right? If she's a fusion, then who or what was sacrificed to create her? I mean, what kind of beings would you need to combine to create a nightmare on this scale? Well, the answer is a trinity of names you'll definitely recognize, but twisted in a way you've never seen before. So here they are, the unholy trinity. The Iron Queen is a horrific mashup of three absolute legends. You've got Mephistopheles, the demon, who provides the heart, basically her power source. Then there's Maleficent, the dragon, giving her the physical form, the vessel itself. And finally, Baba Yaga, the crone, who brings the vehicle. That's the intellect and her way of getting around. It's wild. Let's dig into what each one brings to the table. First up, the heart, Mephistopheles. He's not just in there for a little demonic flair. He provides an unending hellfire core. Think about that. It's not just raw power we're talking about, it's her metaphysical engine. It's a furnace burning so hot it lets her just ignore the laws of physics. That makes her completely terrifyingly unpredictable. Okay, next, the form. This comes from Maleficent. So you've got the dragon scales, the raw strength, all that elemental fury. But here's the kicker. Everything gets amplified. Her famous Forest of Thorns? Yeah, that's not just for a castle anymore. We're talking about a weapon that can choke out the life of an entire planet. That's a serious upgrade. And that brings us to the vehicle, courtesy of Baba Yaga. She brings her cosmic wisdom, her ancient intellect, and, of course, her famous Mordor. Except now it's not just a flying pestle, it's a city-sized weapon, and it's powered by Maleficent's dragon wings, letting it just tear through dimensions. It's the perfect, horrifying synthesis of all three. Okay, so we know who went into the mix. Now let's talk about the how. How in the world do you actually forge three legends into one? Well, the answer is a nasty three-stage ritual called the Spinning of the Void. And the architect of all this? None other than the sorceress Morgan Le Fay. And let me be clear, this was no gentle merger. The source material uses some pretty intense language here, calling it an act of deliberate self-dismantling and profane reassembly. I mean, the whole point was to violently shatter these beings down to their base components, just so she could build something totally new from the ruins. So this ritual, it happened in three absolutely horrifying steps. First, you have the grind. This is pure physical deconstruction. Maleficent's severed wings and the blood of Mephisto are literally just chucked into Baba Yaga's mortar, like they're just ingredients. Then comes the weave, a violent act of putting things back together. And finally, the ignition, the final radical fusion that creates the nightmare. And listen to how this is described. It's so visceral, and for good reason. The ritual used Maleficent's own cursed spindle to, and I'm quoting, violently stitch the dragon's flesh to the crone's bones. And the thread? It was spun from raw hellfire. This isn't just waving a wand and saying some magical words. This is grotesque, metaphysical surgery. Then you get to the final step, a massive explosion, ignited by Mephistopheles from the inside. Now, you'd think that would just obliterate everything, right? Annihilation. But that's not what happened. The blast didn't destroy them. Instead, it fused them.
It was an act of creation, not destruction, and that's the moment the singularity of magic was truly born. Okay, so we've got the what and the how. But now we get to what I think is the most fascinating part of this whole thing, the why. Why go through all this? Well, this entire violent ritual, it's a dark, very literal allegory for a pretty deep philosophical idea, the necessity of self-overcoming. Believe it or not, this connects directly to the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche and two of his big ideas. The first is Übergang, which basically means overgoing. It's this idea of surpassing yourself, of reaching a higher state of being. But, and this is the important part, you can't get there without first going through Untergang, or downgoing. That's the necessary, often painful process of completely dismantling your old self to clear the path for the new one. And the creation of the Iron Queen, it's like this philosophy brought to life in the most malicious way possible. The final fusion, that's the Übergang, the creation of this so-called superior being. And the brutal ritual, the spinning of the void, that's a very literal, very violent Untergang. The grind and the weave are the actual physical acts of dismantling their former selves. It's this profound rejection of just staying the same, choosing instead to become something way more powerful, even if it's monstrous.
So, after all that, after the dark alchemy and the twisted philosophy, what do you get? You get a forged nightmare. An entity that isn't just a mix of the three, but something fundamentally new and a whole lot stronger than the legends it was made from. And this fusion creates what you'd call emergent powers, abilities that just weren't there before. The Iron Queen basically solves all the individual weaknesses of her parts. For instance, she can use Mephistopheles' reality warping power, but she doesn't have to make any deals or bargains. She can unleash Maleficent's planet-killing wrath, but guided by Baba Yaga's cosmic intellect. It all comes together to make her, well, the curse incarnate. And this is so important. Don't think of her as just a combination. The best way to think about it is like an alloy. You know when you forge steel, you're not just mixing iron and carbon. You're creating a completely new material with its own properties, something way stronger than the original parts. That is exactly what the Iron Queen is, a brand new, terrifying alloy of pure magic and malice. So, all of this leaves us with one last, pretty heavy question to think about. The Iron Queen is a nightmare, literally forged from the violent sacrifice of the self. So what does this twisted story really say about the price of becoming more? What's the true cost of transcendence?